All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the sound. I'm so glad that you have decided to tune in again. I am very happy to have my friends with me today, Nikita Frazier and her husband, Mark Royer. They have an amazing story of overcoming, and I know that you're just going to be really encouraged by their story. But before we do that, I always have to remind you, if you have not yet, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up, the like button, subscribe, share, comment. Um, we want to get these out to as many people as we can. And the only way we can do that on the YouTube algorithm is to get you engaging and push us up in line. Otherwise, YouTube really won't put us out there too much. So please like, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friends, share with your family, whoever you think that will be encouraged by this message today. I'm sure there's a lot of people you can think of. So please help us out with that. And yeah, don't forget to take a listen, go look at our other videos, our stories of overcoming. I think you'll find some really good ones in there. So, all right, you guys. So let's get to know you guys a little bit. Let's have a little bit of a background on you. What would you like people to know? Who are you?
Go first, or
You can go first.
okay. So before Nikki and I met, I was married for, I don't even know, like 28 years, something like that. But throughout our marriage, my previous wife and I, we were, we kind of just drifted apart. We're different people, really different wants, desires, goals, things like that. And I also had a middle child who was going through some significant health issues, and we had financial stresses. And so ultimately we decided not to, that the marriage wasn't sustainable any longer. And I was separated for a period of I think it was like 5 years. And I basically lived in a 9 foot by 10 foot room house sharing situation for like 5 years. And
Okay.
it was a very depressing time, truthfully, just living in those, coming home and living in, at my age and where I thought I didn't think I would be there at that point of my life.
Yeah, most of us don't.
Yeah. So, after like 5 years of being separated, and I had never dated or anything like that, and finally decided it was time to maybe try to see if there was somebody out there that I might be, a good fit with. Um,
Well, and I know
and
you guys are a good fit.
yeah,
They
so
dance well together, so I know that.
yeah, so I don't know, I tried the whole dating app thing for a little bit, and that was very interesting, but also very frustrating with the ghosting, and just
Yeah.
people that were just fake. And I was basically at the point where I was, saying I'm resigning myself to the fact that I was going to be alone for, the rest of my life, kind of thing. And then just happened to um, scroll upon Nikki's profile and was very interested, and we just started to have a conversation on,
Oh,
on the phone, and
The rest is history.
yeah, and it kind of just immediately took off, and within 2 weeks or something of actually our first contact, we had met up through COVID, and violating all those
Protocols.
protocols.
yeah.
Before we know it, I was, staying, basically living here I would say within a month of when we first even contacted.
And then
And everybody was like, there were concerns. We were taking it very fast. And even, I think it was with like 10 days after we first met each other, you know, we were laying in bed and I was like, she knew I was, you know, wanted to say something and she prodded it out of me. I was like, I think I love you, you know, and that was, you know,
Hey, Mark, what was it about her when you read her profile? What was it about her that attracted you to that, to her?
I mean, it was just, I think it was just everything, combination of everything, you know, like her kind of quirky little photos and just
Okay.
she's very interesting, you know.
Yes, she is.
Um, I can't put my finger on any one thing. It was just the overall profile that was very intriguing to me, you know. It was,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so I just still remember some of the photos on there. I can see them in my head, you know,
Mm.
the images and the, you know, the comment. I don't really remember the comments all that much, truthfully, or
So
the,
He was
how long
by
have
my
you,
yeah, yeah.
what was that?
I said he was enamored by my beauty. He doesn't remember
Oh,
the word.
yes, of course. So how long have you guys been married now? So,
Just a year in October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hey, well,
But we've been to get, you know, I guess it was 2020, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah,
So this is our fourth Thanksgiving together.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's,
So,
you know,
Sure. That's
so
your
what,
story.
so Nikita, what attracted you to Mark then?
So I guess for me, it's interesting because, he had some space between his, marriage, like leaving and being in his room and everything. I was in a relationship not as long, like 13 years. And I finally found the courage to leave. Like 3 years, I knew I needed to leave. And then that finally 2020 is when I like finally got the courage to leave. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be single the rest of my life because I'm exhausted from what I just had to go through.
Mhm.
I was like 110 pounds, severely underweight.
Mm.
Um, I'm a transplant recipient, but prior to that, I was kind of like teetering between 10% function and 13% kidney function.
Mm.
And I kind of thought that the reason why I was so underweight, because I'm 5'8", I should, 110 at 5'8" is like
Mhm.
severely underweight. I could see my heartbeat and my ribs and all
Mm.
kinds of things. But I thought it was because of my disease. But then during that short period of time, I think my whole life was basically falling apart. So on
Mm.
my birthday, which was like February 7th of 2020, I lost my job. And then 2 weeks later, I, broke up with the relationship of 13 years. And then like a month later, COVID happened.
Mm.
So then it was just like,
Mm. Yeah.
and then I just got this feeling like this is the time you need to work on yourself. You need to start healing your heart
Mhm.
and being open to possibilities that are out there. And I had no idea like what that meant. I just knew that I needed to start really healing myself from all that I've gone through.
Can I ask you how did you do that? What did that look like?
Um, for me, it was just a lot of like positive like affirmations and trying to like speak positivity into myself
Mhm.
and just kind of figuring out who I was and what I wanted because I was not able to do what I wanted during that time. Like
Mm.
I couldn't dress the way I wanted to dress. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I just had a lot of restrictions on myself. And a couple of my friends on Facebook thought I was going crazy because they're like, oh my gosh, why is she posting all this weird stuff? And it
Yeah.
was really because I was just trying to find what felt good for me. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of just I just wanted to figure out who I was.
Right.
Um, and then during that journey, and like in real time, it seems so short because it was literally from February to April. That's when Mark and I met. So it wasn't really that long,
Yes.
but I focus on something.
Mhm.
When I really put my mind to things, I'm really good at doing it, I guess you can say. You know what I mean? So it was like a very intense time frame because I didn't wasn't working. It was COVID. We couldn't go anywhere. So I really used that time to really figure out like what was going on. And then I kind of, part of the thing that I realized was, because I have my two little ones, but I also have an older daughter. She's 26 and she lives in San Diego. When I was with him, he was like my first boyfriend ever, and he broke my heart and stuff. And I remember saying to myself that I was never going to love again. So like when you say these things, you don't realize that you're creating that for yourself. And while I was kind of going through that time, I realized that I never met someone who would treat me well because I didn't want to fall in love. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you're in these relationships with people who are never going to, you know, give you the things that you really want because you have that wall up and you're allowing positive interactions with people. So I had to like figure that out and just like, you know, heal myself and be open to finding love, the thing that I actually really, really wanted, but I was afraid to get.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that we hold inside, and some of it, and we don't realize that we do have that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes years. But the fact that you were seeking, you knew something, you know, something had to change. And so you went after that. And there's a common thread, like through everybody that I have spoken with so far, and the things that they've had to overcome is their mindset.
Yeah.
And I hear you saying that as well, because mindset, and then, you know, your affirmations, and hearing that, actually saying out loud. That's why this is called the sound. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing some more, actually some more teachings and more events and things like that that have to do with frequency and sound. And so, you know, hearing yourself say these affirmations makes a big difference, not just thinking them in your head, but the mindset was kind of the common thread that everybody that I've been interviewed so far, about why I had to get this in my mind. I had to think this way. You know, I had to overcome. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you know, while I was kind of healing and going through the journey and journaling and writing things like what I really wanted out of life and things like that, I got this like, you know, I call it like, you know, like a, you know, divine inspiration or something. And it was just like, you know, you need to go on a dating app. And I was like, literally arguing with myself, like, but I don't want to because I don't want to date ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, it was just kind of like, I've kind of learned throughout the last, you know, 20 years that I've, you know, been a Christian and things like that, that when you hear those small whispers, that you should usually listen to them because they're usually, you know what I mean? So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to listen to them, but sometimes I'm good at it. And luckily this time I was good at it.
Yeah, you have to be aware, and you have to be tuned in, and you can't have all the distractions and all the noise around you. And but the more practice you get, the more that knowing that is the divine voice of our creator, then you get to know, you know, voice. My sheep know my voice, you know.
Right.
So okay, so you guys connected, and then it was history, and you're living this happily ever after life, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not perfect, but yeah.
Of course. But you had to, but there's something special about your story that you, if you want to share, or you did share about your struggle that you had with your health.
Yeah. So, you know, I finally, you know, get on the right app and meet Mark. And it was like one of those things where, again, you know, I liked his profile and I was interested because he had this beautiful write-up about his daughters and he was such a great dad. And that's kind of what I was looking for, someone who would be a great dad to my kids. And he knew how to cook, and he talked about he made the best steak, which he does. And so like, could cook because I had to do all the cooking the whole time, and I wanted a partner. And his write-up, it's interesting that you remember my picture, but I remember his write-up, you know.
Yeah.
And then the one picture, like I want to see people's eyes. I feel like the eyes are like this, the mirror of your soul. Like I'm like really into that. And he had on these dark shades, and I almost like was like, nope, because I can't see his eyes. And then something stopped me and was like,
I
just keep
understand.
going.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
so we connected, and I was so afraid when we were first meeting to tell him about my kidney disease, because I figured he would leave because that was a burden. But
Mm,
then, not soon after. I mean, I probably told you like within like a week or two.
Yeah.
Even though I was like terrified, I finally, said it, and he was fine with it. He was like, whatever.
Yeah.
mm,
And then like as we were starting to like, things were gonna get lifted and we were able to kind of go out more, I started actually gaining weight. So then I realized that I didn't lose all that weight because of the disease. I lost the weight because of the relationship I was in.
oh yeah.
So then probably in August, you were just kind of like, hey, I can get tested to see if I'm a match. And I was like, really? You do that? And he was like, yeah, why not? So he got
More.
tested.
Just, yeah, why not? I have an extra one.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
crazy. It was so crazy. So
Wow, did you know then that this had to be something really special? I mean, for somebody to do that for you.
I know, yeah, I mean, it was crazy because I only had like one person, and it was my cousin who went to get tested, like no one else that I knew. One person was going to, but then she ended up getting pregnant. So, and I never really put it out there because I don't know, I'm weird. I don't like asking for help. That's still an issue I have.
Okay.
So, so he got tested and he was a match. And then we started going through the whole issue of, getting all the blood work and the test up and, the EKGs and everything. And
Which is a lot.
it's a lot of blood work. You get
I
like
bet.
30 vials of blood and you're going like, it's crazy. Like they test for everything and you have to be really healthy in order to even be, accepted to donate. And then they do like this whole psychological workup as like, why do you want to do this? Are you being like coerced into doing it? It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Wow,
It's just a lot.
that is a lot.
And
Well,
then
you think about that, you're taking somebody's part of somebody else.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, yeah, wow.
So originally I was signed up at the UPenn Center in Philadelphia. So we were going through that whole spiel. It was probably like around what, January, maybe no, I think it was soon because we were outside. So maybe it was like October where they wanted him to do the advanced donation, which is where you actually donate to someone else. And then
Oh,
yeah, so it's kind of weird because he would donate to someone else, and then eventually I'd be getting another person, and I was like, I just didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. It was like, so for a match, and you have low level reactivity, which means that the potential of rejection is small. Why would he donate to someone else when I'm right here?
yeah.
So they tried to explain it, but it never made sense to me. So then I was talking to my cardiologist at Lehigh Valley Health Network, and he was like, well, why aren't you like signed up here at Lehigh Valley? And then I was like, well, because my job. And then I realized I didn't have a job because I think I had just started a new job.
Yeah.
And so it had to be December because I started in December, like right before Christmas. So it was probably like January. So through my new job, I was able to sign up with Lehigh Valley. My old job wouldn't allow it because it was too small of a, hospitals. I had to go through UPenn.
Okay.
So I was able to, another God's intervention, leaving the one job, getting the new job where I could go to Lehigh Valley, and they don't do the advanced donation. They do like either a paired exchange or like one-to-one.
Okay.
And so we had to do a whole workup all over again because it was a different hospital. So, um,
Wow.
and then, so I think in January, we both ended up getting COVID.
Oh, no.
So, and then yeah, we had to go through all that. And then I
Yeah.
think July 28th of 2021, we had the surgery.
Yeah, it was a lot of it, the process was long, and
Mm.
just a lot of time commitment, a lot of blood blood testing,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But then all of a sudden
Came out
it
of nowhere.
was here.
Yeah. And what were you like? What were you thinking through all that time, though? And all that stuff you had to go through? Was it a
I
mixture of emotion, or you didn't?
really, I kind of, it was every now and then it was like, man, kind of frustrating that you have to do all that over again. But it wasn't, I
Yeah.
would never say I got negative about it. It was just like,
Hmm.
this is what we got to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I still remember like the actual surgery itself, I was never nervous about it at all. Even like right before, like the moments right before it,
Going under.
yeah, I never had any fear or any even mild nervousness. I was just like, yeah. I don't
Wow.
know. It was almost I don't know what the word is for that.
Surreal.
Surreal yeah, kind of because
Yeah, because you would expect there to be at least a little bit of nervousness. You're
yeah,
losing a part of your body, and you don't know what to expect after.
yeah,
And that's
but it
amazing.
never happened at all in the least.
Yeah.
I was wondering about is how long the recovery was, you know what I mean? Like,
You want to get back to the gym as soon as
yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
amazing. It's just amazing how your steps are ordered, like just how everything just worked out. And
yeah.
Yeah.
and when we look back, and that's the way it is in life. And of course, we look back on that and we go, oh, like when you lost your job,
Mhm.
like you would have never figured
Right.
that this was all going to lead to, you getting Mark's kidney.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I always say, like, you know, if you feel like you're being led somewhere, just take the steps, you know what I mean? Because you just don't know how, when things are falling apart, it's to build something back up even better.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think we have to train ourselves to think that way, because we're in the middle of something, whether it's drama or trauma, whatever it is. And it's like you're focusing on that one thing. I want to get out. I want this to pass. I just don't want this to go on. But we're not thinking about what it's leading to or what we're learning. I try to learn from every situation. What can I learn from this situation, or where this is. And that's where I think the faith comes in, and the trust that
Mhm.
I'm going to be okay, you know? And so, and I think it's something that you learn or you don't learn, because some people
Yeah.
don't, as we get older, as we go through life, we look back and see, well, you know, for me, would say a creator was faithful in that situation. And this is what came out, if I hadn't done this, then this wouldn't have happened, that on the positive end, also
Right.
negative things too, but on the positive. So, um, and I would say, Mark, you probably, you were just so calm because you just knew it was right. And you knew you were, I mean, all these things led up to this, and that everything, and this is where you were supposed to be. This is,
Yeah.
what was supposed to happen. So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
talked, you talked about mindset and everything, and
Mhm.
Nikki was talking about affirmations and things like that. And she's really told, taught me a little bit of that stuff, the affirmations and the frequencies and things like that. But before that, like I mentioned that, I was going through my divorce and living in my living arrangements that were
Mhm.
exceedingly depressing.
Yeah.
I've suffered with, depression throughout my life, and that was a very hard time. And for me, I found meditation, and I've been, I'm on like, I don't
5
know,
years
5-year run of every day
daily.
where
Mhm.
I need to do that. I need
Yeah.
to calm my mind and you know
Yeah. Well, that's
set
what,
myself up for a more of a positive outlook.
mhm.
Um, it's it's a daily thing I have to do, but without that, I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's where
it's very challenging.
the mind, the battle, how's it go? The battlefield's in the mind, right? For everything, because that's where everything starts,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? And then we move to our beliefs and then our actions, right?
yeah,
So that's how you stay on the depression a little bit, because I know there's so many. I
yeah,
even know young people who are depressed. And even in the world today, with everything that's going on and everything that we see going on around us, and it's difficult. It's very
yeah,
difficult.
yeah,
And so it's very easy to fall into that mindset of negativity, or if we focus on all the negative.
yeah.
So, what would you tell people who are suffering in that way of depression? I mean, obviously, you used meditation.
Yeah.
How did you come to try that, or to know?
Honestly, I don't remember what. So I had, I would say for most of my life, I've had issues with anxiety and depression and
Hmm.
insecurities from I've had some childhood traumas, and
Hmm.
um, so for decades of, I felt like I had this voice inside my head that was constantly pretty negative, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me I'm not,
Hmm.
failure at this or that, or what I mean. And I
Yeah.
would feel like I was wearing a mask a lot of times, and
Hmm.
in my career and my
Yeah.
relationships and everything. And so I did do I did try therapy, and I'm in therapy now still.
Hmm.
But so I don't know, maybe that's spawned it, or I don't know. But I tried I have the Calm app, and it's just been a lifesaver, really.
Yeah.
I've had Yeah, and I have other tools that as Nikki was just saying, reminding me, I journal,
Hmm.
um I do the affirmations, I do lots of different tools, breath work, lots of
Yeah.
different even throughout the day. I have reminders on my,
On
take
your,
a
yeah.
six breath pause and
Hmm.
things like that, just to kind of get my mind back, because it has a tendency to be very racy and very
Hmm.
it can be
Oh
not
yeah.
too fun to me at times. And I don't know, I've so I use a mixture of those tools, but meditating for me is one that I really fall back on and rely on, and it's just been
Yeah,
a
and I
life.
think they're all good things, and I it, um, think that the person has to realize, first of all, that this isn't right. This is not the way
Yeah,
to live, and I do want to change. And then what do I have to do to change?
yeah,
And my heart goes out to those who just feel like they're, and because then is my mind's jumping ahead, but you're having a down day, maybe you're in a really deep pit of depression, and you're in this moment of this darkness that you just can't see beyond it. Like
yeah,
you just don't, and it's almost like you can't, you either get scared enough that you go, okay, I got to change and do something about this, or you're just kind of stuck there, but you can't see beyond that. It's like, and that's what they say a lot, like, with people who are suicidal or whatever, like, just give it time, like, and usually, like, give it a few moments, or the next moment, the next hour, the next day, and it can be so different then. um,
yeah,
and so the person, and then to realize that there's something that you must do to change this way of thinking, or this, whatever it is, this darkness over you, and take the action, because otherwise, you know, you are stuck in that. And it's great that you two were brought together, because, and Nikki knows all that. She's familiar with that, and she's kind of like the encourager, and
Yeah.
so I didn't know all this about you. This is really fascinating to me, and it's so when I just see this is like, oh, you guys are just so perfect together.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know, just you mentioned for people that are struggling out there, I don't know, there are lots of resources out there. There's lots of you just gotta reach out for help, and
Yeah.
because as you were talking, I kind of remember like I think it probably was when I did reach out to a therapist up here who I've transitioned away from, because eventually you just kind of, it's run its course with that particular therapist, but I have a new one now.
Okay.
But anyway, the one that I met before, I think he kind of helped me along that path of meditation and stuff. Because again, as you were talking, I was thinking about a time of driving back from seeing my daughters, and I think it was around Christmas or something. It was just so freaking depressing, and I remember just driving back and being like, and having very dark suicidal thoughts, and nothing that I ever like planned, but I could almost feel the wheel like pulling over to the side, like
Mhm.
into a median, you know what I mean? It was like so
Yeah.
depressing, like I'm driving back to my room and it was just it was so depressing, and but there are those tools out there that you can be a transformation, because like being with Nikki every day is like just bliss. I
Mm.
mean, we have our moments where we get on each other's nerves, of course,
Yeah.
and everything like
Yeah.
that. But just
Yeah.
waking up next to her and just cooking all day, even though it was, kind of stressful at times with other personalities involved, and
Of course.
um, you know, cooking for a house and not really getting much help doing anything else, annoying. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
get it. I
just
get
being
it.
with her, just going to the grocery store, just life is blissful with her. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's
so it's just
wonderful.
a complete change, and I think change is possible.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I feel like we both kind of had it was interesting because when I look back at like people who I really kind of were attracted to, it was people who like him. You know what I mean? It's almost like God put each other's images in our hearts. Like we
Mhm.
knew, but we never were able to connect until the timing was right. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Oh,
like
absolutely. Yeah.
we always say that we're each other's person. Like I don't
Mhm.
know, we love the same things. We love to cook. We love to go on adventures. We travel all the time.
Mhm.
We meditate together. We do exercises together. I don't know, like we really, and we've learned because we both came from toxic relationships. We
Mhm.
didn't want to repeat that. So we built a really good foundation. Like we read the 7 principles to making marriage work. We
Mhm.
had my pastor do the premarital counseling, and we go to couples therapy. Even though we don't have like major issues, we've learned skills to be able to communicate with each other and to
Yeah.
know that, you know, we both are each other's advocate. And what
Mhm.
if there is a miscommunication, that's what it is. We're not purposely trying to hurt each other in any way.
Yeah, that's a big
Yes.
thing.
And I
Yeah.
think
So
you said something, one word that you used is really important, was that foundation. You
mhm.
both in your separate lives before you got together were building a new foundation, even though, Mark, you're searching out there, but you were building, you knew you were, and that's the thing. Each person needs to be doing the healing work in their own lives before
Yeah.
they really come together, because you don't want to come together um, and then it's just it's not a good
Right.
thing. It's not a good
Yeah.
thing. So um, you were doing the work, and that's good. And then you continued, to do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Even the couples, like we do the work individually, but we also do it together. And as Nikki mentioned, we're doing couples therapy now, and it's not for any reason other like it was really just suggested by, I forget, one of our one of our individual therapists that
Mhm.
were saying,
Don't wait.
you don't have to wait until you're in a bad spot. You can use couples therapy just because you want to keep it in a good spot. So
Mm.
we're doing that, and it's taken a few iterations of finding the right person to click with, and
Mhm.
because we don't go there with any problems, and it was the one person we went with. It just it wasn't a good match, So we
Yeah.
had to look around a little bit longer, and now we found somebody I think that seems like a good fit, and
Yeah.
it's just helpful to bounce things off, and and stay where we are.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
grow.
And I've seen pictures of you, Mark, around the children, and it just looks like you're really, things are really clicking with them, and you
Yeah,
have some
yeah,
fun. Uh,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's hard for all, when you're blending and but and that's the other reason to be doing the work on yourself too, right? Is
yeah, yeah.
especially for the children. Um, so now, okay, so now I know, Mark, that you have written a book,
Hmm.
right? Do you
Yeah.
want to tell us a little bit about that?
Wow, it's been it was a long journey. Like,
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed writing, and oh yeah,
The
this is
potty.
yeah. I'm very, I
Great
don't know.
title.
It's a like a humorous crime thriller is what the genre is. Um,
Okay.
there's an author that I kind of feel like I'm not anywhere near his level, obviously, Carl Hassan, but he has a whole thing in South, it's set in South Florida. It's just very farcical and very
Okay.
it makes you laugh out loud. Uh,
Oh, you have to
his
get it.
book. There's a few movies that have been generated from his books, but anyway, I've just had I've always had a desire to write, and I've always, with this particular book, it was probably a decade in the making, maybe longer than that, where when I was with my ex, I tried to write, and I just hit a roadblock, and it just kind of just sat for years, and then I kind of picked it up again and did another draft, and then it would sit another couple, you know what I mean? And then finally I was just like, I'm doing this thing, and
Yeah,
it was very rewarding, it was
that's
um
amazing.
yeah, so
Well, we'll
and I
definitely put the link below so that people can check it out.
yeah, I have a blog too. I try to write every put a blog out there every couple of weeks, just about whatever I'm thinking about at that time. And a lot of times it's been even for myself, really, like as a healing process. I'm journaling but putting it out there to the
Yeah.
public or whatever, you know what I mean?
Well,
Just
yeah,
like
of course.
whatever thoughts I'm having, whatever difficulties I might be experiencing, with, racism or what, you know what I mean? Because we
Yeah.
experience that from time to time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so just
And
So,
he's really good at being very like, consistent, and he's very like detailed like that. And I'm more of like this free spirit. So
found that funny. You said I was consistent, and this thing took me 10 years.
but you're consistent through those 10 years. You never
I got it.
stopped. You
I
know what I
got it.
mean?
you
Like
never
that's
gave up on it, and that's great.
right.
I will agree with that. I never gave up.
And
That's-
you were currently almost finished with the second book, which is a
It's true.
continuation to this.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then after that, he's gonna write our love story.
oh, good,
Yeah, yeah.
good. Well, that's amazing. So, Nikita, tell us what you're doing these days.
Oh my goodness. So, besides my full-time job, I'm also working on being a travel agent. So I'm doing that, like, and it's fun because we love to travel. So like we get to travel together and figure out like great excursions for people and things like that. And we also jointly have an e-com business that we're
Yeah.
doing. So, we're really trying to build a legacy together,
Yeah.
so it's really cool. Like, just having someone that you can have fun working with, you know what I mean? Have fun vacationing with, have fun doing everything with,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
I gotta ask you, what did it feel like? I'm going back to that kidney transplant because it's just popping it up in my mind. What'd you feel like when you first came to, or you got your, senses back, and knowing that this had just taken place for you?
My memory is just legitimately when we first woke up.
Well, you first
And
woke
yeah, I first woke up, I guess. And we saw it. I guess they
Oh,
rolled her in, and we
yeah.
saw each other, and we said something. What did we say? Like,
Oh, so
"Hey, baby."
yeah, so our
We
little
both said it at the
our
same
little
time.
thing when we would see each other is like, "Hey, baby." So she rolled me into his room, and then he like opened his eyes at the same time. We were like, "Hey, baby," and they literally laughed at us. They were like, "You
Yeah,
guys are so cute." But
yeah.
for me, it was traumatic
Yeah.
because he went in and he was gone for hours, and then
Because my surgery is way more challenging than hers.
yes, he loves to say that, and his little scar that he complains about all the time.
That's our constant joke between each other.
It ruined,
Whose surgery
You're
was
more
worse?
yeah, it ruined his six pack and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
time.
but like as I was waiting, there were two people outside my room, and they were talking about how the person died in surgery, and that they weren't going to tell the person right away, and they were going to wait. That's what I heard.
Oh
I don't
my.
know if it's truly what they said, but that's
Oh,
what I heard. And I thought it was Mark, and I thought he died, and I was starting to freak out. And then they come into my room like, "Oh, you're ready for the surgery?" And they stick me full of like chemicals, and I fall asleep, right? So then
oh
when
my.
I wake up, the first thing I'm thinking is he's dead. And I'm like freaking out and
Oh
like,
no.
hey. And then they didn't know what I was talking about. And they were like, someone waiting for you. I was like, no, my daughter, my husband. Ah. So then they rolled
Oh,
me up to see him. So for me, it was like such a relief because he wasn't dead.
yeah. Oh my goodness. See how fear gets in there though? I mean, we hear
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
thing and we all take it down this whole,
Yeah.
so many times I'm in the middle of the train rolling down the track and go, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, that got down the track really fast. That thought just,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, well, I could see how you would be, oh my goodness, how
Yeah.
traumatic. Oh,
And it's interesting, just thinking as we're talking and stuff, like we're talking about her health issues, and then where I've, some would characterize it like I was supportive of her
Yeah. Yeah.
during that time,
Definitely.
but now it's like I'm having seizure daily,
Seizures
seizures,
and
and I have like very
migraines.
bad migraines that are like cause stroke like symptoms where I can't breathe, and
oh,
paralysis, and it's been a challenge to deal with that, but Nikki has been so supportive through, and the kids too. Like
mhm,
they're like environmental triggers, like lights and flashing lights that are almost immediate. Like could be in the ER, then
mhm, mhm.
and they're just so sweet and supportive of
Yeah.
being aware of that, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that part of it.
Mark, did those start after you had the kidney operation?
They did, but they
No, not
also
the migraine.
not the migraines. I've had migraines since I've been like 12, but
Okay.
the seizures and the symptoms have dramatically changed, with lots of other unpleasantries, like feeling like your skin's being peeled off your face, and
Yeah.
just very, very
Intense.
intense, rolling on the around, no, not being able to get any relief at all. You know what I mean? Just like the
Yeah.
very awful. But the paralysis and the seizures, and not being able to talk, and like slurring my word, just like
You
all
say like
sorts of
stroke-like
weird,
symptoms. Yeah.
weird stuff. And they've just
Mm.
been, it's been very touching how, I remember like last Christmas we went to this a show downtown, and it was like I forget what like kind of like the one of those Las Vegas acrobat shows
Oh,
with
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
lights,
Mhm.
and
Christmas. Yeah.
I couldn't watch any of it. And I
Oh,
had like a blindfold on, and our son was next to me, and he was like, hand around me and just
Yeah.
like telling me what's going on,
Oh,
and you definitely don't want to be watching this one. You know what I mean? He's just very
oh,
sweet and
yeah,
touching.
yeah.
I mean, it's just the new, like we go to concert, we went to Costa Rica and we saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers there, which is a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
anyway, I can't watch, I have to go to all these concerts and wear a blindfold. And sometimes she gets kind of sad about that, but I don't know. It's just the new, I don't
Yeah.
know. I have a different outlook on it that, I get I hear different, the music is more pronounced than the,
Mm,
just
Like your senses
maybe
are
just when
heightened.
she touches my arm, and I wouldn't notice that during a concert. You know what I mean? Like I would just be
yeah.
watching the concert, but she, just the way she comforts me, and it's
That's an amazing attitude though to have, because that alone could put you into a depression.
yeah.
And
I don't always have that.
yeah,
I try to, but I don't always succeed.
well, it's understandable,
Yeah.
but so is there any thing that can be done, or you're still
It's actually been trending in the proper direction.
Yeah.
good?
They some medications and different therapies and
Mhm.
physical therapies and things. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, good.
it seems
It's not
it
every day
seems like
now.
it's
Yeah.
trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we are so many people that are daily having to overcome things.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I would say that that's probably, something that you're doing. You've encouraged me listening to, wow, all the stuff that you guys have been through. I think we're going to wrap it up, but if you could say, I don't know, just a couple sentences to people just to encourage them. I mean, I think they're already encouraged by your story, but like a closing remark, what would you say?
For me, I guess I would just say just never give up. Like even when you're, in the darkest time and you feel like nothing will ever get better and everything seems to fall apart, just realize that you have, the ability to change your situation. You just have to be, willing to do the work and willing to listen to those quiet whispers that are leading you in the right direction. Because if I would have never gone on that site, who knows where I would be right now? You know what I mean? Like that little tiny decision
Voice.
made
Yeah.
such a big impact. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would also say, never give up, resilience, practice gratitude,
Yeah.
be
That's a big one.
the little things, the little and the big things. Practice acceptance. Some things you can't change. There's things, that are completely out of your control, and you might not like it, but that's where it is right now.
Mhm.
So there are lots of things like that. Just yeah, gratitude, acceptance,
Yeah,
and
gratitude.
resilience.
We have that gratitude jar that we fill up every Sunday.
Yeah,
And then at the end of the year, we go through all of our little notes and we read them, all the things that we were grateful for the week. So
yeah,
So,
if you could
so,
do
so
that, if you could
important.
like that would be,
yeah,
any little thing.
yeah.
That's
Because
so important. Yeah.
the gloomy times are going to come, but it's not always that way. It's not always that.
It,
It could be the season you're in, but it's not going to
right.
be that way forever.
Yeah. That's a good point to remember that this too shall pass
Mm.
eventually,
Yeah.
and to hang in there, to be an overcomers, and to have that, what you're showing us today too, is to have, you can't do it alone. That was another thing that was a
Yeah.
common thread that ran through that runs through the interviews that I do, is that you cannot live this life alone. We were built for community,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
life is definitely worth living. And if we can, again, with the mindset, be grateful for every, and it doesn't have to be anything huge, but like you said,
No.
the small moments, the little things in life, makes such a big difference to have a grateful heart, and just to keep going and focus on the good times more than the bad, more than the horrible things that happened, or the bad things, or like. And I think it is really important what you said, Mark, too, about accepting things. There are
Mhm.
some things that just may not change, but we are the ones that can change. We are the only ones who can change. We can't change anyone else. We can't,
Yeah.
you know, some situations. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much. This has been
Thank you.
so encouraging me. I learned more about you, and I am encouraged myself. Thank you.
Oh, thank
So
you so much.
everybody, we're going to put, we'll put all these links below. We'll put their Mark's link to his book. And yes, on the potty. And I can't wait to see that. And Nikkita's link for her travel business, and any other links that you sent me, their links to Facebook and things like that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and we'll see you on the next one. There was something else I was going to say. Don't forget to check out the other videos also, of the other stories that, and you guys, I look forward to seeing you dance again. I have had these guys in my ballroom workshops too. So
Yeah.
such great fun. So, all right, everybody, we'll see you the next time. Ciao.